Do what you can with what you've got where you are. Teddy Roosevelt. My friends, each and every day, 10 to 15 minutes, that's all we ask to become a charting master. You'll make up for all the time you ever spent when you master the charts, and you will be building for yourself incredible financial freedom in the future. Let's jump into things. We see stocks are down a little bit for the day. Gold and Bitcoin down also. Bonds are up. And forgive me, I'm sorry, gold is up also. It's Bitcoin that's the big, well, it's not a big pullback for Bitcoin, but it fell off a little bit. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Now, as I look at the trade execution summary grid for Friday, the 18th of July, I see all the numbers backing off except for gold. Interesting. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. The only downer we have, and it's continuing to be down, is 20-year U.S. government bonds. And as we look at them today, they were a little more than flat. But again, we'll get there. Let's jump into the S&P 500 first. Pulling back just barely, you can see there in the afternoon is what it looks like to me. And we're looking at Heikin-Ashi candlesticks, so that's hard to tell. But we did reach a higher high this week. Candle has been reducing in size. I want to tell you guys, I did an in-depth review of the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 today, looking particularly for the likelihood of a significant pullback, which is 10% or more over the next 3 months. That was both on the 30-day, the 60-day, and the 90-day time frames. And it was not that high. It was between 20 and 30%. So it wasn't like pushing 70, 80%, something like that. Doesn't mean it won't occur. But as far as there being a whole lot of things that are really, really out there ringing the bell, I mean, there were a number of things about overboughtness, just a whole bunch of things that did check the boxes. But overall, I could not find a huge bellwether that was saying things were really rotating over. But I am continuing to look, as I told you, as things have slowed down. Candles are getting smaller over these last 2 weeks. We still have the volume there. Check out the volume the last 2 weeks. We've been average or above average. I mean, above average last week, average this week. So that's okay. And we've reached a little bit higher high. And things do pop up and they can slow down and then take off again. Sort of what happens is, the way I always say it is, the market jumps up and then it sort of digests the gains. And then it jumps up again and digests the gains. Doesn't mean that it's topping out, but you want to pay close attention. First day of the latest 2-day candle that'll finish on Friday. We're not up to halfway the volume. We can see where the volume really fell off in the afternoon. Now, again, the summertime trading zone, we don't typically look for a lot of volume. We're waiting for the fall-winter trading zone when we do have more volume and the market tends to move, but with that volume in much more clean lines. But can you get a cleaner line than this? I mean, for the last many, many weeks, we've been long and the market has just kept going up. We are still long, and our backtest accuracy, it's okay. The entry, the exit, the expected moves, all of those numbers are given to you in the trade execution summary grid. Patreon members, of course, we always send that out to you and upload it at the Patreon page. And of course, at the end of today, we will be posting yesterday's trade execution summary grid. If you'd like to take a look at that, along with the entire ETF trading analysis and execution plan on our 5 ETFs, S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, 20-year bonds, gold, and the Bitcoin ETF. And that's our 5-day plus analysis. And you'll see how we break things down in price direction, best trade entry point, strategic profit exit point, expected price move, back test results, key patterns, trading instructions. All that's there on each of the ETFs. It helps you see what we're seeing and what we are thinking. So a little pullback on the S&P. NASDAQ, also a little pullback As we look at the NASDAQ, you can see that again, it reached a higher high this week. Candles a little bit smaller than last week. Average volume, again, better on the 2-day. And you can see where that pullback looks like it occurred in the afternoon. So we're looking good. We are still long on the NASDAQ 100 too. So again, as we end the week, still long on both our stocks. Let's take a look at 20-year U.S. government bonds. They popped up a little bit for the day, 0.15%. We are still down on them. That means that we are bearish. Of course, what are we in that regard? Well, I mean, you can, play around Tango Bravo Foxtrot. That is the inverse of 20-year U.S. government bonds. And of course, it has been going up over the last few days. That is what inverse funds do when the underlying asset goes down. Now, the things to understand and learn about inverse funds, that's why we encourage you to practice trade them. They're revalued on a daily basis. They can magnify your losses. They have higher fees. But again, if you can read a chart and it's moving in the opposite direction and you want to just not stay out, you can always use them. And when there's a general market crash on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, or bonds are jamming down, those inverse funds can be very, very helpful. Just so you know, single inverse on the S&P 500. SH is the one we track. PSQ is the single inverse on the NASDAQ 100, and you can see just how liquid it is. Only 3 cents between the bid and the ask, the sell and the buy. So again, important to know, gives you some things to do to practice trade, to have some fun. So as we end the week, we can see that price is well below the weekly trend line on the weekly chart, on the 2-day chart, and on the half-day chart, as things have ticked up some over the last 2 days. It hasn't changed it did. It lowered it a little bit, our directional probability of continued down move. But of course, after we lost all that energy and the switch over back on the week beginning the 7th of July, we can expect continued down moves, and look at all of the energy this week with that volume. So we'll continue to keep an eye on things, and we are short 20-year U.S. government bonds. Let's look at gold. Now, that is a crappy trend line right there, friends. It looks like we've got a doji last week, a very small spinning top this week. We do have decent volume. Means lots and lots of indecision over the last 2 weeks in gold. We can see, look at the 2-day. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 going into just little candles. Looks like, starting on July the 10th, the 2-day candle, we had a spinning top, and then a doji. And this latest one, first day of the latest one, is just a little bitty green candle, up 0.26% for the day. And of course, look at that trend line. It's not helpful at all. We are technically above it on the 2-day, the half-day, and the weekly, but my gosh, it's almost flat. And look at the lack of volume for the last 2.5 days. So again, our charts, though, as we do our calculations, we are decently, we're not up 80% or more, but we're decent on our directional probability and on our backtest accuracy. We are still long on gold. And of course, that paid off today, being up, a little bit, 0.26%. Take whatever I can get. But again, we will be watching as we jump into this next week and see if gold indeed takes off or if it dies on the vine. It's the 2 prior weeks it was going down. The last 2 weeks it's been sort of, a doji and a little green spinning top, almost another doji. So we'll keep an eye on things and see how gold does as we jump into the new week. Bitcoin pulling back a little bit. Bitcoin hit its high Monday morning for the week, and it has been down, up, down, and it hasn't gone back to where it started the week, but it was down over the course of the day, and of course had some strong down movement Looking back here, it looks like on the morning and afternoon of Tuesday, covered a little on Wednesday. Hard to tell just all what happened on Thursday and Friday. You can see on the 2-day chart where it slowed down. And all of that peak, all of that happened Monday morning. Then Bitcoin just sort of licked its, we'll say digested its meal after that. But we are still long Bitcoin. Directional probability is okay. Backtest accuracy, so-so. We still see some more up movement. And again, Patreon members, it's detailed. In your analysis sheet, you will see the best trade entry point, the strategic profit exit point, the expected move, backtesting accuracy, the key patterns that we are looking at, and the trade instructions. And again, remember, we're not a stock, bond, gold, or Bitcoin calling service. We're an education firm. I want you to practice trade with us. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth. Thanks for being with us. Let us hear from you. CW@chartingwealth.com.